Alright, hello Internet. This is the IPython dev meeting for February 24th, 2015. Should be a short one. Hopefully 3.0 will be out at the end of this week. So straight to agenda things. Issues currently marked for 3.0. There was an issue about consistent terminology for above, below, and before and after.
Yeah, I marked this as 3.0. I don't think we need to make it fully consistent, but I think what we should really do for 3.0 is our shortcuts help us describing the A and B shortcuts as insert cell before and insert cell after, which is...
Right, because it's above and below is what...
Yeah, A is before and B is after. So I think we should at least fix that.
So I see
and there was a PR. Did that PR do that?
There's 3 PRs. I see that there's 3 PRs.
Oh Jesus!
Do any of them do it?
There's 3 PRs, but they're all merged.
Yeah.
Okay, and do they all?
I don't think any of them.
I don't think so, because you have to decide between next, previous, before, after, and above, below.
Oh yeah, no. What 7809 did fix above below.
Yeah, and so did 11.
Yeah, 11 does too. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I don't think it's 3.0 material, so.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with what remains not being 3.0 material. It was just the above below thing that I wanted to get sorted out.
In the UI, I guess we all agree that above below is nicer. After we can discuss with Brian, we probably will have a strong opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine with saying above and below.
Yeah, that's
I don't have any preference for. I don't have any preference among them, but the fact that above and we have the shortcuts based on above and below is enough of a deciding factor for me.
Mm-hmm.
So okay.
So shall I put the remainder of this as 3.1?
Sure.
Yeah.
Great.
The next one is the Reveal.js is having a problem, and I just looked into this morning, and I should have a fix for this after. And I've already got it fixed locally. I just need to clean up the commit and open a PR. Basically, HTTPS is not working. The upstream. So what it does is a request to the localhost server makes another request to the CDN, and then basically proxies that content. And that upstream request is failing for HTTPS because it's a dependency thing. So that might be why Thomas is seeing that it works and other people are seeing that it doesn't. The tornado request requires this certify package. And so if you have it, it works, and if you don't, it silently returns an empty body because we're not checking if the upstream request succeeds. We're just sending the body back and not checking the response code. So we just need to add a check the response code.
I thought we were doing it with a redirect.
No. We're doing it with a proxy because it doesn't work. There are cross-domain things that don't work with Reveal.
Right.
You can't have Reveal.js from a CDN doesn't actually work. It has to be local.
But they pushed on a CDN anyway because
it's JavaScript. So actually, almost all of Reveal.js works fine. Speaker notes specifically don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember if there was more than speaker notes.
No, I think the speaker note is the only thing.
Yeah. So it kind of almost works. And so we're doing this proxy thing.
So 3.0 for this?
Yeah, it should be a tiny fix, and it's basically it's adding a dependency to this post processor. I'm not going to change the dependencies for IPython because the error message you get is super clear. It's, Tornado HTTPS requires the certify package. So it's just going to basically, for the people for whom it's not working, you're going to get an error in the terminal that says install certify, and then it'll just work after you install certify. So that's all it is. So
I feel like certify is a dependency of Tornado now.
I think it's a Conda thing. If you install Tornado with Conda, I think if you install Tornado with pip, it'll just work. And if you install Tornado with Conda, you might be missing a dependency.
Yeah, that's
so this is only going to affect. I think this will only affect Conda users. I'm not sure. It might affect slightly more users than that, but just re-raising the error is all we need to do, I think.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So as far as I know, at least as far as we've been marking things, that's everything for 3.0. So catastrophic problems. At least people aren't telling us about them.
Yeah. There are no problems. 3.0 is perfect.
Yeah, 3.0 is perfect. Yes, we will never need to release IPython again.
I have one
After
problem.
this, we will all be retiring, and
yeah. So does anybody else have 3.0 thoughts we should cover before moving on to the...
Yeah, I have one request to change the API of Content Manager, but I don't think it will go in 3.0.
Yeah, no, that won't go in 3.0.
I ran into one issue yesterday, and I didn't have time to file a report about it yet, but I was going to do that today, which is I had a student who couldn't open the notebook in her browser, and it's because the notebook had a really large output, and her computer was kind of old, and so it crashed her browser. I don't think that's a 3.0 thing, because I know that that's been like kind of an issue for a while, but then I opened it on my computer and cleared the output and then uploaded it back up to the server. And it had the wrong permission, and when she opened it, it gave her an error telling her that the notebook format was wrong, rather than a permission denied.
Okay. Yeah, if you can come up with the test case, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll look into it more. But.
Yeah, since that's a relatively unlikely circumstance, probably. I mean, we'll do 3.1 by the end of March, so I'm sure we'll accumulate quite a few things between now and then.
That reminds me, Brian did give me a couple things to look at, but I don't think they were stoppers.
Yeah, I mean, it really should be show-stopping things for 3.0. We already know things that we want to fix. We just want to wait till after 3.0. We're fairly liberal about the 0.0 to 0.1 bug fixes, as long as they're not like API changes. Then it's fine. Okay.
I had a weird one.
Okay.
That I haven't been able to replicate. So I'm going to keep trying. A notebook where, and I don't know if anyone has seen this, where it has custom CSS, and when even if I save it, I run the cell that loads the CSS. If I save it, close it, and reopen it, even though I've run it multiple times, every time I reopen it, the custom CSS is removed, is gone. The weird thing is I copied it to a different location, and now I'm not seeing it anymore. I know it happened, but it happened multiple times. I was using it to get
Did you notice untrusted statements in the log output?
I did not look. Okay, I will look for that.
If there's a... Did you rerun all the cells?
I did. I reran all the cells, and
it's possible if there's a bug.
Mm-hmm.
So the main cause for CSS and HTML output to not show up is that it was sanitized, and it will be sanitized if the notebook is untrusted. So and this may be a bug or it may not. If there's a bug, my first guess is that that notebook should have become trusted but didn't.
Didn't. Okay. Does the when the notebook is trusted, does the trust notebook entry go away in the menu?
I don't think so.
It should. We don't check things like that carefully, so it's possible that it's wrong.
No,
but it should.
It is grayed out. Okay, it is grayed out, so I can. I'm just.
Yeah,
checking.
it should say trusted notebook or something like that, and be disabled.
It says trusted notebook and it's grayed out indeed.
Okay. In that case, the CSS should load, and then if it's not loading, it might be some weird ordering async, getting stuff on the page problem.
Yeah, here we go. I just reopened it again, and it's again the CSS is gone. Even though I use this to give a talk, so I know I have already because it's the CSS that makes fonts larger and whatnot for my it's my kind of my presentation.
And it shows it as trusted?
No, it shows it as untrusted again, and the CSS is gone. So now that
so it makes sense that the CSS is gone because it's untrusted. So okay, so there might be a problem that it's, and so if you hit run all, save, and reload, is it still untrusted?
Let's try it once more. Run all, and we'll see. But I should not. But do you want me to do run all, but actually manually also trust it?
No, just run. Well, either one. Theoretically, those two are the same thing.
Okay, I just did run all, and
then save.
And then save. Well, it's a long notebook. Okay, it finished, and then save that, and then close and halt. And then let's reopen it. Oh, this time it's fine. But I do know that, I mean, I used this for the talk with Brian at Kavli last week, and I had to do this multiple times. And basically every time I don't know. If I can find a way to replicate this one, this is the one that led me to ranting about pip yesterday, because I was trying to make a smaller version of it that would have the problem, and I can't seem to replicate it.
Yeah, it's possible that there's a bug. I mean, it's a technical thing that we maybe don't want to get to online, but the way the JavaScript communicates trust is by marking all the cells with trusted equals true. And that's what, when you execute a cell, it sets that cell as trusted. And then when you save on the server side, it checks if all the cells are true, trust the notebook.
Mm-hmm.
So the likely source of a bug, if there is one, and not just because if you're shift entering through and maybe you did less than all of the cells, like maybe even if there's an empty cell at the bottom.
I bet you that was it. I had not been doing run all with the menu. I had been just doing shift enter.
Yeah. So if you did anything less than all of the cells in a given session, it won't make the notebook fully trusted.
Got it.
Right? Because that trust per cell is not stored.
Yeah.
Trust is only stored per notebook.
Yep.
So the only way a notebook can become trusted is if everything has been run, or the trust from the dropdown is chosen, which just manually marks trusted equals true. And it's possible that there's a bug in one or the other of those that causes it to not actually set everything to be trusted.
Or possible that I had a stray cell at the end that was empty, so I didn't bother with it.
Yeah. So if you weren't doing manually trust,
no, I was not.
Okay, then the most likely thing is that you weren't running every cell, so the notebook never became trusted.
It's not exactly a bug. It's more of a subtle. It's a bit subtle.
Yeah, it's a usability issue rather than a not working as.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Like maybe it should be clearer that a notebook isn't trusted.
Yeah.
That might be part of it. Just because CSS not showing up is like, oh, weird, why isn't my output, like, I know why, because it's not trusted, but the main feedback that a notebook isn't trusted is a single log statement. Like when you open a notebook in the terminal, it says notebook something is not trusted.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no indication, I think there's no indication in the GUI, in the browser, that you just opened a notebook that's not trusted.
You have to basically go and see that the menu allows that menu entry to be usable, which is
right.
Yeah. No, that's
so there should probably be just a little notification or something saying this notebook isn't trusted. If you're missing HTML, something to that effect. Not a dialogue, but an ignorable notification.
Yeah. John, I doubt the feedback is me because I'm using a headset. So I'm gonna guess the feedback is someone who is using speakers.
I'm getting echo from John actually, because John doesn't have headphones.
Oh, but I was muted, or I should be muted.
You're not. Now you're muted.
Now you're muted.
Yeah, when you unmuted yourself, we got a bit of echo from you. I got a bit of echo, I think, from Min earlier.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know.
I don't know why my camera was off. I just realized.
Hey, there's Fernando.
No, I'm just in a hotel in DC at a conference.
Okay. Okay. Next note is a blog update.
Okay. Uppress.io.
So I discussed a bit with Brian, which was also a bit disappointed that you couldn't comment on Ghost on post.
Say that again, Matthias.
I discussed with Brian, and he's a bit disappointed that when you're writing things on Ghost, you cannot, while you're writing the post, comment on what the person is doing, like in a request on GitHub, you can say, hey, here I don't agree, or something like that.
There's basically no editorial review level. It's a private draft or public comments, but there's no in between.
Yeah, it doesn't have an edit like an editor UI edit.
Draft mode where there's commenting for the editing group.
Yeah.
I came across Uppress, which is not yet in Markdown, it's in ASCII-Doc. It's approximately the same UI than Ghost, but it commits on the Git repository and on GitHub directly. And so you can both edit in the UI interface, and you can also do PRs. Which is, I think, neat.
Okay.
And it's
I don't know how it works with organization. If many person can log in. I haven't tried. I tried on my account. It's easy to set up. And you have like live streaming and you type ASCII-Doc on one side and things appear on the other side. Anyway, just seeing.
It's kind of funny that every blog you set up with Uppress is actually a fork of the main repo. That's kind of interesting, but okay. So you have analytics, you have comments with discuss. It's based on GitHub. I mean, ASCII-Doc, Markdown, whatever. For what we're doing, it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Min, I just trialed muting you because I was getting echo again, and it does seem to have been coming from you.
Yeah.
But we can't now hear you if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, should we give this hub? Has anyone actually tried Matthias besides you set up an account, but you haven't actually?
Yeah, I mean, I forked on my account. It's looked neat. I haven't tried with many accounts, but it's.
Do you have a blog post that we could play with, like a test blog post?
Yeah, sure, but I need to give you my password for now. So.
Well, let's play with it. I mean, let's play with it. Why don't you try making a dummy post? And well, but not giving us your password. Like let's see if the workflow actually works.
What I will do is I will deploy one on Jupyter organization.
Okay.
So that we can try if each of us can log in differently.
Yeah, we can see if it works, and I mean maybe the combination of the GUI editor plus the PR workflow is enough for us, and that may be fine. Okay. Next, SciPy Austin. Yes. So tutorials. I mean so talks we can have as many as we want. Well, we shouldn't have too many, but do people? My SciPy tends to always be overloaded, and last year was worse than ever. And so I'm going to try to not put myself on the hook for a main talk this year, I think.
Do we target showing up 4.0 at SciPy?
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, 4.0 is not going to be a bunch of features. 4.0 is going to be a painful slog through the slicing and dicing of the repos. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't know how interesting it is. If it's going to be interesting, we could propose a talk or something about, going beyond one repo.
I think what's
IPython.
I think what we have that's interesting to give a talk about is 3.0. I mean, 3.0 is going to be, for most people, is going to be new and arriving in March, April. They're going to start seeing it a month or two before. It's going to be fairly new. I mean, the talk doesn't have to be only about the stuff that we did the night before.
Yeah. No, but I don't know if I don't mean this as I think people won't be, but I genuinely don't know if people would be interested in the IPython growing beyond the ability to be one repo, and how we're dealing with community contributions and of a growing project and the repo explosion. I know for folks who are interested in the open source community stuff like Paul, that could be an interesting topic, and for a lot of people that could be super boring. So I don't know.
Maybe it's a good poster.
Sure. Yeah, we could try that.
That's a good idea.
I think it probably would be a good thing to prepare have something where we're actually obligated to prepare content for, since I think it's something that we've talked about a lot, but haven't had a concrete point to. This is why all this stuff is happening. So even if it's just a poster, I think it's probably a good idea of something about it.
I do think that just a regular talk about everything that has been happening with the project, the 3.0, the kernel architecture, I mean, we have how many? 33 now. Last I.
We could just call it State of the IPython and just submit the same title each year.
I mean, I normally give an informal version of that every year because what happens is there's been a tradition of having these 5-minute state of NumPy, state of SciPy, state of IPython, state of Matplotlib micro presentations at SciPy for a long time. So I often do a very quick impromptu version of that. But something that goes more in depth into the kernel architecture, the adoption, the encouraging people to kind of use that more seriously beyond Python, and I don't know, clarifying. There's a lot of things in that complex mess that are completely clear to us in our heads that are not clear. Giving kind of an architectural overview of the project, I think, would be useful. I think that I mean, I know that when we did that in Montreal at PyCon, where I grabbed that door and that had poster board on one side, and I spoke for 20. Matthias was there, and I drew that big diagram. People were like, "Oh, that's super useful. That helps a lot." And this was completely ad lib, with a marker in my hand, just walking back and forth for 20 minutes. Doing that in an organized way, I think, would be very useful. And
yeah, and we do now have some of the diagrams from that, I did eventually get around to drawing us nice SVG diagrams for the How IPython Works document, so we can reuse bits of that.
I think an overall architectural talk about that would be good. I think an architectural talk about the widgets would be very good to have. So these are two pieces of complex work. And Kester and Matthias, do you guys think that you're going to have enough to give a technical talk about the state of and it can be in progress. It doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't have to be released. But I think there's going to be a lot of interest after last year's demo of Collaboratory of saying, okay, now we're working on this, and now Google is supporting it, and Matthias is working on this. This is what we're doing. These are the problems. These are the questions. This is what we don't know yet. It can be an in-progress research talk.
Yep.
Those are the three topics that I would think: a main architecture talk, a widgets talk, and a real-time collab talk.
We could also do a Jupyter Hub talk. It would be, I mean, maybe the best would be if Jess wanted to talk about using Jupyter Hub and bGrader and stuff to teach a class.
So
I think there are a lot of people.
But we had talked, Jess and I had talked about that, and I think you have some travel conflicts, right, Jess?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be in the U.S. over the summer, but
Okay.
I do want to go to SciPy, but I don't know for sure yet. So.
Okay. Well, we could put co-author you and me and Kyle, and then you can present it if you're around, or Kyle, or I could present it if you're not.
That could work. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because
that'd be awesome.
I think there's a huge amount of interest in that. I mean, I got very excited when Jess was showing me at bids that stuff, and I said this would be an absolutely wonderful talk. Okay, so let's write down on the notes tentatively, and we don't have to make a decision today. Well, maybe by next week, but
yeah.
So we're saying some overall architecture talk, architecture on Jupyter Hub in especially in education. Yes. We have widgets, and we have real time.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely have something to talk about.
I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
So these are the four tentative ones. Let's just leave it like that. People can think what else they have in mind, and then maybe.
Yeah. Do we want to do a tutorial or half a dozen tutorials now that we have so many pieces?
So there's always the question of tutorials. There's
always IPython in depth. There's advanced IPython. There's a whole tutorial on widgets. There's IPython parallel, which did I do IPython parallel last year? So we probably don't need to do that 2 years in a row. Since there's not a lot that's different.
I think I don't know, something about the widgets would probably be good. And I don't know if a tutorial that includes or sort of advanced topics in IPython, maybe half widgets and half Jupyter Hub and deployment, something that includes Hub and the Docker stuff that Kyle has been doing. So I would leave the IPython in-depth one, which is more in-depth, but as an everyday user. I don't know, I'm kind of tired of doing that. So if somebody else wants to do it, the repo's out.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 30 hours of that tutorial on the internet already.
Exactly, and there's so many copies of it, I'm kind of fed up with it.
Yeah, I think we can skip a year of that one.
But something like an advanced IPython topics in advanced IPython that would be 50% widgets, 50% Hub and deployment. That would be pretty cool. Does anybody?
What about extension and configuration, like JavaScript, all the IPython config stuff?
Packaging and distributing extensions.
Yeah. But I would make that basically one tutorial. I mean, any of those topics you can go on for hours. The widget stuff could be hours and hours. But I also don't want to completely I think if we do a complete tutorial, 3 hours on the widgets as a framework, it's in a sense overselling it a little bit. I think not overselling it, but I think it undercuts a little bit the message that we still consider this to be very experimental. Whereas presenting it as part of advanced topics, and you can say, this is what you can do, but this is evolving fast, so this is for early adopters. I think having it be, say, 50% or 1/3 of an advanced tutorial is probably a good measure. What do people think?
Okay, and just to propose that one tutorial.
Yeah, something like advanced topics that would be widgets, hub, and extensions or something like that. Basically, we pick a few advanced topics. And I mean, let's just leave this in here, and we can simmer on it for a week. We'll see if anybody comes up with different ideas, if people have different opinions. Does anybody else see anything else that would be a good fit there?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Let's give it some time. Google Drive. Hey guys, what's up?
So it's almost working. Still a few outcoded stuff here and there. I'm working on this morning. Yeah, sorry, echo from me. So I hope that by the end of today you will be able to just hit install it. It works. Like right now on my computer, you have like Google Drive and local drive. You click on it, you see Google files. You click on local drive, you see local files, and you're logged in and everything.
Well, maybe one thing that would be cool is in a week or two to have a little, have you guys do a little demo here during the meeting live, so we can see it, and then we can point people to that section of the video with the once the post is recorded, and has a stable YouTube URL, and we know the time offset. Then we can point people to that demo as a quick way, like here's an update, and then it's no extra work for you guys. You don't have to write a blog post, nothing. It's a way of communicating.
Sure. Maybe Thomas and Min want to show that tomorrow at the Hacker Wiz in Indeed.
Yeah. And then next week we can do it. We can do it during the meeting. I'd love to see that. Okay. Kester, do you have any thoughts from your side, and how are things working from your perspective?
Yeah, it's going really well. I think we pretty much wrapped this up. Like I'm sure there'll be like issues when users start using it that we'll have to deal with. But I think
such as life.
Yeah, but it's pretty much done. I can't think of anything else left. So yeah, it's just time to move on to the real-time stuff.
Sweet.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Kester is much faster than I am on JavaScript, and I guess I'm faster on Python side.
No, that's why you make it.
One request I would have is to change the API of the content manager so that the path of arguments is always the first. Because sometimes it's first, sometimes it's second, and it's a bit annoying, but I guess it's too late for 3.0.
Yeah, and probably too late for, yeah, I don't think there's a good reason even to change that for 4.0 probably. It's one of those things that's just not worth changing.
Yeah, not worth the pain.
The incompatibility of something like that is...
Yeah, it's also that I have like I have two decorators that decorate everything that has path depending on the position of path on each. And you have some
and just path by keyword argument, and the position doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, sure. Anyway.
I just wanted to flag one technical issue that we haven't solved yet, which is that we have a pretty locked down access already, where you can't access a file unless the user actually opened it in some special Google-provided iframe. So that means that there's no way we can just randomly access files of a user. However, in order to display things like the tree, we still need to have so-called metadata, which is like the file name, but contains quite a lot of other information, like everyone you've shared that file with and stuff like that. So that's what we grant for the regular one. But when we were talking to Kyle, he thought, and I think Matthias agreed with this too, like we want to have not even have the metadata, like read-only access to the metadata where people are using it in some kind of shared situation, like on a server kind of situation. So like a shared server, like TempNB style sort of thing. So for that reason, like we need a way, so we can just switch off those permissions. The problem is then a person can't see anything. So we need a sort of way to get the files initially opened by the app. I don't think we have a really great solution to that. If you know the file IDs, you can get them. If you don't, you can also open them in Google Drive, like I think some people are familiar with doing it in Collaboratory, if you remember, where you go to Google Drive and open them. So that would work, and it would just show you some page that says, congratulations, you just opened this file and made it available for the app, but doesn't actually do anything. So that would work, but we don't have anything built yet that sort of enables this even more lockdown mode to work properly. Because
that's globally also a UI issue when you start to have file shared on the dashboard, you might want to see who shared the file with you and things like that, which is specific to sharing that we haven't taken into account in the dashboard. But that will go with dashboard refactoring and other stuff like that. It might be some complexity in the technical discussion under, but have to see.
Okay, I have to admit that not having seen how the specifics work, I don't understand enough of the details, so I'm not going to be able to say anything useful. But
so basically, you cannot know if you have access to a file before you try to open it.
Ah, okay.
So the very high-level problem is that like we have a mode which is pretty locked down enough for someone using on their own system. Probably not locked down enough for someone using on the shared on a shared server with like temporary notebooks. So and for education and stuff like that, where you want to be able to like just view the course materials, we don't really have something that would work for that yet.
Got it. Okay.
You either see everything, and when you click on it, it says you don't have access, or you see nothing except what you have created.
Yeah.
So it's a bit annoying, but yeah. Anyway.
Well, okay. Yeah.
But it's not like there's no solutions, but we don't have one built yet, and we're not really sure what the best one is yet.
Okay. Yeah. We'll work on it. Is all I guess all I can say. And once the rest of us start playing with it, we may be able to make some suggestions and offer some ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on the Drive, real-time, etc. project?
Just to report back, like we're going to be experimenting with Polymer. No, not Polymer. With React. Yeah. So we'll be starting our experiments with React, sort of notebook structure from my end, and text editors from Matthias's end, and somewhere in the middle we should have the full notebook. Cool.
Okay. All right. Dev meeting planning.
Well,
so there's a hack pad there.
You're not going to explore different libraries then? You just want to go straight for React?
Sorry for not addressing that before. We're not going to not explore other libraries, but like I wouldn't want to commit to like necessarily trying out other things. I would like to start with this and like say then reevaluate in a completely unbiased way what the next step should be. If it's really great, the decision might be we don't need to try anything else. If we don't feel like we have enough information, then try something else. So I'll just say like put off that decision till we've tried this.
Give it a try and see what happens.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
I feel like once you've learned and are familiar with one system, then if you then go and evaluate another system, that system will seem worse because you're comparing it against the paradigms of the first system. I mean, it's your project to do, but I would give something of this kind of magnitude of this decision. I think I would be happier with saying, you know, we're going to look at 2 or 3 different things to start with.
Yeah, I get that. I totally see that there are biases that need to be accounted for. I personally don't like bake-offs because like it just seems to create work where you might not have needed it. But like I do see your point, so I think that like I think we should commit to like being very clear on understanding that we have enough information when we've done these first experiments, and that will probably involve at least some kind of experiments in some other frameworks.
And I mean, Thomas, there's also the fact that the side that when you even if you start using something, sometimes you actually don't like it. I mean, there's also that you don't necessarily get. It's not true that you automatically, because you start using something, get a positive bias in favor of that. Sometimes you use something and you realize, wow, this thing sucks, and I really don't like it.
That's JavaScript.
Exactly.
But there are also people who use JavaScript and thought, oh wow, this is so awesome, we should totally use it on the server side as well. So,
Yeah, true.
I'm not sure that JavaScript is that great an example.
So let's.
Yeah, some example
I mean, even if we're not doing a bake-off, I think it would be good to at least kind of, read docs and think through how this might be done with a couple of different frameworks. Because this is really, we're going to totally rebuild the notebook front end on whatever you choose. So.
But I'm gonna assume that that you guys have already done some of that. I mean, the reason why you landed on React is not because it was, hopefully not because it was the thing that was trending on Twitter last night.
I think that's a very important piece of information. That yeah, but I think Thomas is right that we would need to do more. I think what we've done so far is just enough to pick the first thing to experiment with, and we will need to go back and look at the other frameworks seriously.
And Thomas and Min and Matthias, didn't that course that I pointed at Berkeley, weren't they going to do some of that actually, like walk through some of these things?
Yeah, I think it's in a lecture that's already happened. So I think I was planning to at some point try to watch the video from that or look at the slides from that or something.
Are they posting them? Are they posting their material? Oh, that'd be great.
They were, yes.
Okay.
What is the class?
So there was a class at Berkeley. The thing is, it's on campus. That is actually gonna. It's running this semester. It started, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. That is running through kind of. Basically, it's a seminar on new web technologies, and every week they pick a topic and they cover one or more tools and technologies. They're inviting people. Yeah, it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, the very first lecture, which was on the 4th of this month, was called React versus the World.
So if you find it, maybe you can post the video link, Thomas, so that Kester and others can see it. And Kester, we saw that you're losing power, so.
Yeah, I can go back to my desktop, but there might be a quick break.
Okay, but I think we're kind of winding down this topic. But Thomas, if you find a video and the slides, please do post it on
Matthias has beaten me to links in the chat here.
That's just, yes, so the link to the class, and you have the YouTube recording.
Oh, we can just put this on Hackpad so it's more persistent. Okay, there you go. Great, thank you, Thomas. Okay, Hackpad meet. Yeah, so let's start putting topics there for planning and agenda. No, it's not Monday. Isn't it like Tuesday through Friday, or is it Monday? It's 4 days, not 5 days. There was something where
Monday through Thursday because Brian couldn't make Friday, but I imagine, the rest of us can be there on Friday.
Okay.
So.
It's just that it's not a holiday. There are no holidays that week. The only
not that I'm aware of.
I don't really know about U.S. holidays until I see a sign saying it's a holiday or something.
No, there's very few of them. Okay. Some fun. What is the fun?
It's basically look at your commit log and give you some badges depending on if you committed more than twice in 15 seconds. If you added a file to JavaScript, give you a badge. New file to JavaScript, give you a badge which is happily ever after.
Get achievements.
Got it. Okay. And for some reason, it doesn't show anything for me, but that maybe we haven't committed anything to the project forever. But I get
there are also JavaScript bugs in the web app.
I get a blank page. Yeah.
Yeah, it is also, it's a JavaScript thing, and it's fairly buggy.
So Jess, updates.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a quick status update on how things are going.
Yeah.
So we're a month into the semester. Students have turned in 2 problem sets so far. We just returned the grades for the first one, and that seemed to go pretty well.
Are you the lecturer of record in the course?
No, Tom is the lecturer, or the I'm just a GSI. So.
Okay.
But,
and are you the only GSI?
No, there's 3 other GSIs. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And did everyone agree to use this system?
Well, yeah. It was sort of like a conversation between me and Tom. Oh, GSI means graduate student instructor. It's the same as a TA. Yes.
But
I mean, we all sort of agreed that, like, so it was taught in MATLAB last year, and there was, like, some things about that that just really didn't work very well. And we all kind of agreed that, like, having the class use notebooks and stuff would really be a much better format for what we wanted students to be doing, which is, like, you know, give them some instructions and some explanation and then have them write some code. And before, like, they had two separate documents. Like, one was like a PDF with the instructions, and one was like, you know, a MATLAB file that they had to fill out. And this way, like, you know, a lot of times, like, they didn't actually read the full instructions because it's, like, in this separate file and you have to switch back and forth. And this way, like, you know, they can just go through it linearly and do it as they go, and it works. I think we've had, you know, in terms of, like, the questions that students are asking, they seem to be, like, higher quality, like less, you know, coding questions and stuff, and more about the material. And I think that's partially because, like, this format is just a much better format for them to actually be doing the assignments in. Yeah, I mean, the whole Jupyter Hub setup has been, like, really awesome. You know, it's been really robust. It's been, like, a few minor hiccups here and there, but nothing major. And the other GSIs have liked the grading system so far. The biggest thing, and this is something that Brian said too, was that it would really be nice to be able to do live grading in the notebook, which is, like, just use the notebook itself for grading. Currently, we have this thing where it, like, converts it to HTML, and then you just go put in the grades in text boxes. But it's nice to be able to run their code when you're grading. But currently, the notebook loads too slowly for that to be feasible. So it's a future thing. But yeah, so things are going great.
All the GSIs are grading with the system, though. You don't have a fork in the team where you're doing one thing and they're doing something else.
We're all grading using the system.
Okay. And is Tom teaching with the notebooks at all, or is this being used only for the homeworks that you guys work on, and Tom is doing things separately? Like, how much? I guess what I'm trying to understand is how much of a role is this playing in the class itself versus just in the homework assignments?
So Tom's lectures are mostly just, like, PowerPoint lectures. He has some demos, especially, like, later in the semester, and those are in MATLAB, and it would be nice if we converted them to notebooks, but it's not, like, super high priority for us. So, but that would be the only.
You know, I mean, I don't know if we have MATLAB licenses installed on that server, but there is the MATLAB kernel for the notebook, so it wouldn't be impossible to turn those MATLAB scripts into basically effectively actual notebooks with a MATLAB kernel. If Tom wanted to install MATLAB on those servers, though, that'd be a different story. And I don't know if you want to get into that.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't gotten to the point in the course where there's demos yet, so we haven't really thought too hard about it yet. But
I was just curious.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, like, the one thing that I would be worried about is, like, after this class, students won't have, like, you know, IPython installed on their own computers. So if they want to, like, go and do stuff on their own, there might be, like, somewhat of a barrier to that, because now they have to go figure out how to install everything. But at least for the students who, like, otherwise, like, wouldn't, you know, like, they would just, like, have a bad experience with the coding, I think are having a better experience with the coding, and that I think is a step in the right direction. So.
Well, one thing we should definitely look into is between now and the end of the semester, you're going to have a much better idea of actually what are basically the requirements that make up the core of the class. So before the semester is over, we could plan on having a Conda package that has the dependencies set up. And basically, a few weeks before the class is over, you could run a little install week where basically you tell people, okay, install Anaconda and get everything running on your laptop, just the basic stuff with Anaconda. And after everyone can run basic demos and basic things, then you say, okay, now type Conda install this package. I mean, you add the repo, and then they have the runtime with whatever dependencies are. I mean, I can't imagine you're going to be changing dependencies 3 weeks before the end of the course. So by that time, you're going to know exactly what your dependencies are. Anything that's not in Anaconda, you could package as a Conda package, give it to them, and then make sure that they can download the repo with their class materials into their laptop and sort of send them home. Make sure that when they tail off from the course, they effectively have replicated the server on their laptops with Conda.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, there aren't really any dependencies besides. I mean, we're pretty much using just the stuff that comes with Anaconda by default, anyways. So yeah, like NumPy, SciPy, scikit-learn, I think are in that column.
You're not running any funky custom libraries, and you don't need scikit-learn from last night or any kind of weird.
No, the only like custom thing is MBGrader, but they won't need that on their own laptops. So.
Yeah, they won't need it. Oh, great. Then maybe the only thing you need to do is run a little Conda installation a few weeks before it's over. Make sure they all have it, and make sure they know how to clone the repo or copy their content to their laptop before they disperse. You want to do that a few weeks before they disperse.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for the update. I mean, I understand your travel plans are not settled, but it would be really, really wonderful if you could present this at SciPy. I think there would be a lot of interest.
Yeah, I definitely would love to be able to do that. So I'll go look into like seeing if that's feasible.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're willing to put in with the pane, even if you're not in the U.S., if you're willing to put in the pane with just a hop on a plane for a few days, we can cover that. So it's really up to whether you are willing to do it.
I mean, yeah, like that probably would be the main barrier for me is the cost of a plane ticket.
So don't. That's not your problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not your problem. It's just if you're willing to just hop on a plane from Europe for a short few days.
Yeah.
If you're willing to do that.
Yeah, totally.
The rest of it is not your problem.
Okay.
I did have one more question. Are you back in the Bay Area?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know that for logistics for later for this week for the release. So, never mind. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Wow, we're going to have a dead on the hour meeting. Okay, so I'll be back. I'll be back in the Bay Area tomorrow late night. So I'll probably be at Bids, and I'll see you guys at Bids on Thursday.
Sounds good.
Min, you flew back from Europe, right? You're back in the Bay Area?
Yes. Yeah. I got back last night.
Okay, then we'll touch bases on Thursday, and I see a Bids background and a Barker background and what looks like the home background.
Yep.
Okay, and this is my hotel lobby background.
Are we going to have a dinner of some sort at the end of the week to celebrate the release?
So that's why I was asking whether Jester was going to be there. So if maybe we can have something light and quick, basically just a local team on Friday. At the dev meeting with everyone else, we'll have something a little bit bigger. But it seems like doing something on Friday.
We can discuss it not in YouTube. We can just cut direct and discuss that.
Okay, so Min, do you want to wrap up the meeting and then we can sort out local logistics on Friday?
Yeah. Bye, Internet.